So for all my warriors out there, I've just hit the record. And ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure and privilege to be here every Saturday with Diana Hunter and Gary Knapp. And we love doing what we do. We love this technology. We love this great company. We love our M5M mission of nourishing malnourished children and at-risk children around the world. And we love our colleagues, and we love being here highlighting some of the expertise and the really special superpowers we have around our community. And Robyn Sully is definitely one of those. And as Diana was saying earlier, she is our go-to person for when we have questions or troubleshooting with our own wellness program or those that we're assisting. And I like to call her a wellness warrior. She's fierce and she stands up. And she stands up for the good for all of us. So Robyn, thank you so much for being willing to give us some of your time today. I know pleasure. So I know there's new people joining us all the time, and many people will listen to this later. Please know that this is great if you're coaching someone for wellness, but also please take this advice in depth for your own wellness program. These are gems that, there's decades of experience going into giving you this experience. So take note and do the best you can in implementing it. Now, Robyn is a mother of 4 grown daughters, a pioneering homeschool mother, and a retired nursing sister. Her interest in wellness grew out of her brush with death following a serious motor vehicle accident in 1995. Having been a nurse, Robyn realized that to regain her health, drug therapy was not the answer. It was a long 8-year journey before Robyn was introduced to Mantech and the science of cellular wellness. And this technology gripped Robyn. She started on her journey to wellness as a Giving Spirit Award winner in our company. It is no surprise that she's now a passionate wellness advocate with a strong desire to help others on the road to optimal health and well-being. She is proud to be associated with Mantech for over 16 years now, and her passion for nourishing children through the M5M program is yet another massive driving factor. In this call this morning, we're going to be, I'm not exaggerating when these are $1 million tips for success in your wellness program. It's really, you can't just throw something in there and expect it to do the work without your participation and knowledge base as well. So Robyn, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you, Sharon. It's a privilege actually to be here. So thank you, and thank you for all you do for all of us.
I love it. So let's start with the foundation. Why do we need to supplement today, Robyn? Do you think some people have choice, or is it a necessity?
Well, personally, I believe it's a necessity, and I base that upon my own personal experience, because following my motor vehicle accident, I tried every single thing to try to get myself into a state where I was a functioning human being again. And as you've already stated, I refused drug therapy, except in the early stages when it was life and death. But for maintaining wellness and moving on, it was not going to be my answer. So it was a long 8-year search for me, Sharon, to find something. So I think supplementation is essential, because for 8 years I lived with debilitating health. And since taking the nutrients, within 7 months, my body responded. And that's the most wonderful thing I want to share today, that nutrition is important. Sharon, I believe it's important for many reasons, but the bulk of the reasons is because how do we maintain wellness? How do we stay healthy and fit and vibrant? And really, the only way we can is to nourish this human body. That's all we have. How do we nourish it? Well, we nourish it through the food. For whatever we put in this mouth goes into the system and it does something. So it'll do something for good or something for evil in your body. So I came, thankfully, across the Mantech products with Julie, my dear friend, departed now, but wonderful. Memories of dear Julie for pestering me 6 times to get onto these products. So for those of you who are listening, never give up on anybody, because it's worth it in the long run. So for me, it's the food chain. As I've researched and studied over these 16 years, I've realised that why there is such ill health out there and lack of wellness is due to what we're putting in our mouths, our food chain. You see, most people buy their food from the local supermarket, and you go along and see what's in the trolleys, packets, tins, jars, and very little fresh fruit and vegetable. And then I came to learn that even the fresh fruit and vegetables are missing in vital nutrients. So yes, Sharon, to answer your question, we definitely need supplementation. I think we need it for many reasons. We have our bodies being designed to utilize the nutrients that come from fruits, vegetables, sea plants, fish, livestock. All of these things provide our bodies with vital nutrients which make the body respond in certain ways and start to feed the various systems of our bodies, because every nutrient, one nutrient won't do what every need is. So we need a variety. And that's the most wonderful thing about the nature out there. We can go and pick around and see all these wonderful things, and everything has got something different. And the other interesting thing, Sharon, with why supplementation is important is because it's not one single nutrient that does anything per se. It is the combination and the synergy of those nutrients that actually make the difference. And the tiny weeny little molecules that we think are not important, they make the big molecule do its job. And that's very important to understand when you're helping people, to teach them that that's why we have a range of products that cover all of those needs. Like just one nutrient, the glycan, for instance, is not going to do the job of vitamin and a mineral. So that's why we need supplementation. I think also the reason is we find today 80% and more of chronic illness is due to missing nutrients. And that's very, very telling. So yes, Sharon, the other reason I think we need it is because of toxins. Toxins are everywhere and our bodies have to detox themselves. Now, if we haven't got the right nutrients going in, the body can't detox itself properly. So I hope that answers a little bit that question. Why do we need supplementation to maintain our health?
Absolutely, Robyn. It's really, when you put it that way, there's an unprecedented load on our bodies trying to maintain that equilibrium of wellness. Not only now, we've got generations of those stressors. So each generation is coming through a vehicle that's already stressed, and that's impacting on our children, and definitely our future generations are in trouble. Most of those toxins aren't even recognized or tested in combination, and our poor bodies are trying to cope, aren't they?
They are. Sharon, toxins are everywhere. There's three basic needs for the human being. That's air that we breathe, the water that we drink, and the food that we eat. You take one of those components away, and in a given period of time, depending which one you remove, the human frame will die. So it's vitally important. It's life and death. And these toxins now, as you've just said, are everywhere. And our dear old Dr. Nugent, he wrote that book, How to Survive on a Toxic Planet. And in that book, he shows us that there are absolutely hundreds and hundreds of toxins, even thousands, that weren't here before the Second World War. So in these last, 50, 60 years, we have just multiplied these toxins, and the onslaught on the human body is enormous. And, I'm always amazed at just how wonderful our bodies are, that they can be as good as they are. Because, really, the toxic onslaught is really, really bad. History actually leaves us lots of clues, I believe, with toxic poisons. Do you know that it's over 200 years ago that mercury was discovered to cause Mad Hatter's disease, right? Now, I don't know how many know that, but that's a fact. That's a historical fact. And yet today we still are putting mercury into things, and we are still poisoning people. So the human person just never seems to learn for some reason or other. And also, you remember in the Roman times, one of the, I believe, forces that actually caused the fall of the Roman Empire was the fact of lead water pipes, because it affects your brain and people don't think properly. And the human frame is finely tuned. And so when you mess up with the tuning of the human brain, behavior changes and people do bad things. So it's everywhere. And also the other thing about toxins, Sharon, which I've just learned, and I think this is a very important point, and that is that they affect the enzymes in our bodies. And our enzymes are very needed to produce our red hemoglobin blood cells. They also weaken your bones. They damage your organs, your GI tract, and then your body's ability then to detox these toxins becomes impaired. So it's very important. Toxins also have been found to damage the DNA of our cells. Now that's your blueprint. So that's very bad. And as you said, it's passing generation to generation now. It also affects the modification of gene expression. Now that's very important. And I'll mention a little bit later on about how important gene expression is via the use of our wonderful technology with the glycans. So it affects your cell membrane and the integrity of your cell. It affects your hormone production. So there's hidden toxins everywhere. We need to wake up and we need to be able to know how to handle them. And Sharon, your other question you gave me there was one about stress. And that's another problem as to why we need supplementation. You see, stress left unchecked will cause our heart problems, causes obesity, it causes diabetes, it causes blood pressure problems, it causes hormone problems. You know, stress is a killer. And I think that's something that we really have to take into account as Manatech associates and those interested in wellness. We need to really put a big price on what stress is doing. We need to understand it and we need to know how to deal with it. It suppresses your immune system. Now, just this past week, almost every person I have encountered has got some form of a flu virus, but I don't have. And my daughter, as you know, is gallivanting around the world at the moment.
Yes.
And she's kept up for 4 weeks an enormous pace, country to country to country. Why? Because she's swallowing her Manaboom, Manatech boosts every day, mixing it up in that water bottle and carting it around. And that's how we do it. How does Dr. Nugent cope? Traveling country to country to country all the time, putting the nutrients in and dealing with the stress. So we have emotional stress today. We have environmental stress. And one thing that we need to understand is how this stress affects our hormones, because hormones regulate every organ and gland in our bodies. So if we are under great stress, then our organs and our glands will be under stress because our hormones are producing a cortisol, which is a hormone, and it's good in its place, but overproduction becomes bad. And so therefore it becomes a toxin. It then messes up with our liver function, which is our basic organ to help detox our bodies. And then we end up with having a massively, heavily overloaded toxic body. And when you've got it too heavily overloaded, the body can't detox. It doesn't matter what you do, it won't detox because there's too many toxins on board. So we have to find ways to deal with stress. So I just propose, Sharon, to your question there about why do we need to supplement? I hope that answers those 4 points that you gave me to speak to.
And Robyn, you know, both of us have sort of a challenge and an advantage in that we're retired nursing sisters, but you don't need to have that level of knowledge to choose this technology. And one of the things I want to cover up front is that you may not be able to go to your naturopath or your doctor and get their blessings for taking nutritional glycans. There's quite a significant gap between proof in science and the advice you get in your practitioner's office, isn't there, Robyn?
Absolutely. You know, I'm a classic example. Even with the massive return of my health and the movement of my arm, which hadn't moved for 8 years, my orthopedic specialist was not interested to know what made the difference. He said, Robyn, you're just a lucky one. No, I'm not lucky at all. I simply followed the laws of my human body's manufacturer and I took nutrients, and that made my arm work. And I would have thought he would have been over the moon and excited. But you see, you have to understand, Sharon, medicine today is a very, very dollar-driven business. Now, I know every business has to drive by money. I know that to be able to exist. But we should be using those dollars to benefit mankind, not benefit an elite few.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very important that we understand that, you know, medicine has its place. I wouldn't be alive without morphine at the scene of an accident. Putting ambitose in my mouth or a glycan wouldn't have done a thing. I would have choked, right? But to get my wellness, it wasn't going to be my answer to take those drugs. My answer was to put these nutrients in and give my body what it needed, all that wonderful raw material to get it going. And that's exciting for me. I think in your questions, you've given me to talk on the science a bit. Well, the science of Manatech is the fact that Manatech actually is not just a nutritional company at all. It's actually a research and a development and a science-based company. And that's why, Sharon, for 16 years, I've never, ever put another supplement in my mouth except a Manatech supplement, because our supplements are backed by science. Manatech has a state-of-the-art analytical laboratory science lab where everything is studied, where it's researched, and that's where these products are coming from. Our nutritional supplements basically go by a science concept and understanding of the human body, which was actually given in the 15th century. And that's by that wonderful father of pharmacology, Paracelsus. And we in Manatech, who've been any time in Manatech, know well his quote, that all that mankind needs for health to sustain us has been produced by God in nature, but it's the job of science to go and find it. And I love that, because we have been created with a brilliant brain, wonderful stamina. We can go out into the Amazon jungles, not that it's burning now, but we can go, and we can go and find all these wonderful things that are out there. You know, recently I had the privilege of talking to some Aboriginal people in the west of Australia. And it was very interesting that when I spoke to the older woman, I asked her, could she remember what she ate as a child? Oh, yes, them witchetty grubs and them things we dig around, and she told me. You see, there's so much out there. Bush tucker medicine is what the Aboriginal people lived on. So, yes, there's so much out there that we haven't. So Paracelsus is quite right. And what's Manatech done, Sharon? Manatech's actually gone out there and followed Paracelsus's advice. And that's what they're doing now, scouring the earth all the time, finding the best of the ingredients that are essential and vital for human health and wellness. Just talk a bit about quality, Sharon. Manatech is a leader in nutritional quality supplements. We have a quality assurance. We have good manufacturing practices. So the quality of our products are superseded by none in the industry out there. Every one of our products are constantly tested. Every raw ingredient that comes in is triple tested. And that's wonderful. What security that gives us as a Manatech associate, just consuming the product, or as a Manatech associate seeking to introduce others. I'm never ashamed ever of standing up and saying, this is the best nutrition that you can possibly put into your body via a supplement. So I think that's important too. We do periodic audits and testing by outside bodies on our products. Safety, Sharon. Okay. We have, Manatech has a product monitoring safety program. And this is very important. A lot of people don't know, but lots of nutritional companies have none of this. They don't have a science lab. They don't have quality assurance. They don't have GMPs, and they don't have safety practices in place. So we need to really see that this is a very important thing for Manatech. Manatech has never been found to have one banned ingredient in any substance, in any of their products. Now, how comforting for a sporting person. Look at that young person recently caught out, right? If she was on our product, she wouldn't have been caught out. And she would have had stamina. She would have had that muscle. She would have had that extra oomph to give her to get going. Look at Kate Warby recently doing that massive bicycle hike, right? Kate would have been swallowing our nutrients all the way on that journey, right? And so I'm sure she shared it with her other friends that were on that journey. So we have very extensive preclinical and clinical tests of all of our products, and not only the product as a whole, but every ingredient into our product. And that's what gives me such strong confidence with Manatech. And our results are published in peer-reviewed journals. We have toxicity testing done on all our products. You might remember some time ago, some of our products were withdrawn because the raw materials did not meet Manatech's gold standard. Now, you know, I admire our company. They pulled those products off. at a time when it was winter and we needed Manna C, and they took it off, right? Now, nobody would have really known except those people in there that one little ingredient was missing or wasn't meeting the mark. But Manatech is such a company of integrity that it stood its grounds. So I love it. Uniqueness, we hold patents on many of our products, and our glycan technology is absolutely second to none, right? Our supplier in Costa Rica, it just excites me. You know, I often watch that video just to get excited, just to see the commitment, the dedication, and the improvements that they've made on their own farms to beat themselves. Now, that's something to be really admired, isn't it, when you set out to beat yourself? So I think that's wonderful. We are a leader in the Manna Pole, ACE Mannan. We exceed the measure for what even constitutes an effective ACE Mannan molecule, and that's exciting. And their production is getting better and better all the time. So Sharon, I hope that covers our little second section.
Yeah, it made me reflect back when I was first introduced, as I was quite a qualified clinical nurse specialist in nursing. And I had these people at a dinner party trying to tell me about scientific breakthrough. I was through the roof skeptical. I've gone on now to be with this company for over 20 years, and I'm committed because when I looked at that science, it just made sense. It made sense to me at the time. I had a health challenge that if the terrain of the body wasn't supported through the best nutrition possible, anything else you add in, whether it's chiropractic or herbs or drugs or medicine, Western medicine, is not going to work as good as it could on a body with a fully nourished terrain at the cellular level. And that's science. That's common sense. And I've gone on to thrive, having made that decision to jump in and take a risk and choose this wellness technology. And so does my whole family and my friends. Nobody, anybody within arm's reach had the opportunity to learn about this because it's just so important.
Sharon, I think the other thing too along those lines is the fact that with Manatech, we've got confidence. We've got the science. Now, just recently, there was that article by Kornfeld and Kornfeld. Now, I remember 16 years ago picking that up at Manifest. And it's 50 years, 50 years since Kornfeld and Kornfeld made their discovery about the cellular communication. And that's a brilliant article. I put it on Facebook, so those of you who are on my Facebook, you can read it. It is absolutely brilliant because he shows there exactly now what science has validated. And remember, when he said that, it was a theory. But today, it's been highly validated. And that's exciting, isn't it? Because Manatech have never deviated from that. They've stuck with that. Nugent has educated us till he's black in the face. And we need to sit up and take note. We've got something in our hands that no other company can give mankind. And we need to go forward with a passion, with a love, and with an understanding so that we can actually debate our cause in the marketplace. And that's what I try to do every day, try to learn something new, try to understand it more, and to be a product of my product.
So Robyn, one of the things I want to also highlight in this time that we have together is that it doesn't matter if we have the best technology on the planet, and that we've just demonstrated why that's true. But there's also, we have to participate fully. We have to learn about our body. We have to learn, I remember, I realized in the early years that I might have got the flu. And then I started to learn my own system and realize, at the first signs, my body needed extra. And everybody's individual, and we have to learn those kind of things. So what are the things that as a consumer of this technology is really important to learn to have the best success in wellness possible?
Okay, Sharon, I think what we have to learn is that for every one of us, we have what Dr. Stephen Boyd taught us, and that was a nutritional gap. And that was very evident in my life when I started these nutrients, right? My body regrew the minor and major pectoral muscle. But I had a thyroid problem because of the head injury. And I was not producing my thyroid hormones as I should have been. Now, my body could do an amazing thing to make the muscle, but it did not, on that amount of nutrition that I was taking, fix the other problem in my thyroid. So when I increased my nutrient level to this, if you can see that, from this, it made all the difference. So I think, yes, it's very important. You've got to listen to your body. Now, for instance, if you come under extra stress, if we understand that our hormonal system needs nutrients to support it, and you come under stress, that's going to attack your hormones, start poking in some more of the nutritional support for hormones. So Manatech covers all the major areas in our bodies. So we just then take extra, right? The last couple of weeks, I've had a bit of extra stress in my life. So I've just increased my hormone product. I've increased plus. And interestingly, you can even feel it inside. You can feel it's not a manufactured feeling. It's actually a reality, because it's a chemical process happening inside your body, and your body's saying, thank you for giving me that extra, Robyn, now I can pick it up. And you just, you're coping better. So yes, it's very important, that nutritional gap, to fill it. So some people might need this amount, some people need that amount. And if you've got a known health challenge, you definitely need extra amounts of the nutrients. So I think, Sharon, to answer your question, I hope that's answered that point.
No, absolutely. And I think right now, again, from a global perspective, we've now got generations of people educated by modern medicine or Western medicine, where you're the helpless sick person or the helpless person with a symptom, and you go to the God doctor and they tell you what to do. So in relearning, like breaking down that education, we really need to take the power into our own hands for our well-being. And that when we get this right, even our Western medicine interventions as needed can be more effective.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I think is important, you've touched on take enough for long enough. So if you come in and your goal, I've helped people and they had a goal X about something, and they're taking these products and they go, well, it's not working because my goal X hasn't happened. But they didn't notice that their sleep quality is better, and their hair quality is better, and their nail quality is better, and that their body. So how does that mechanism work, where the body determines what the priority is for this nutrition, and it may not be what you think at the beginning?
Well, I think that can be very well illustrated. When I went to Manifest, I was speaking with one of the doctors, and he told me of a patient that he'd taken in who wanted to get arthritis fixed, the pains. After 9 months of taking the products, no improvement, except a small dimple-like effect in one of her breasts. Upon testing, it was found she had a breast cancer. So all the nutrients were going in and trying to defeat that, because the nutrients are clever. They've got little brains inside them, I believe. And what their job is to deal with the most life-threatening challenge that we have in our bodies. And so that's why she didn't have any response in the area she thought, but she got it in another area. And she was eternally grateful. And so she went on her way, taking, of course, more then. So I think, Sharon, you have to allow your body to do what it's going to do. And we need to have more faith and more confidence in our God-given ability within ourselves for our bodies to be able to do what they're meant to do. And, I think we've been so trained to believe that our bodies can really do nothing. We've got to go to that white-coated doctor, and we've got to trust what he says. Now, if I trusted what my professor told me, I would probably not be here, because one of the medications I was prescribed is now off the list because it's caused 26,000 deaths of heart attacks. And I was clever enough not to bother taking the thing because I was committed never to take it. So you see, I think that we have to go outside and we have to be responsible for ourselves. And the most wonderful thing to me with modern media is we can go on and we can research ourselves. And, I was only talking to a friend yesterday, and she said, Robyn, isn't it exciting to be able to learn what I can do for myself? And I think that's wonderful. You don't have to abrogate your responsibility to somebody else. Sure, in a multitude of counsellors, there's wisdom. But at the end of the day, it's your call, it's your choice. And for those of us in Manatech, I believe we've made the best choice. And it's our duty job and responsibility, and I think privilege, to go and help others who want to be helped.
Absolutely. This has to be the foundation, especially the glycans. And we've got some amazing technology. I think, and please know that we're not advising you against getting medical advice at all. But I think there's no more important time than today on earth that we have to be discerning healthcare. My daughter broke her arm this week, and we ended up in the hospital system. And as a health professional, that usually is a bit tricky. And different health professionals respond different ways when they know you're a health professional. Some of them get defensive and some of them get collegiate. And I had all of the above while we were there. But it was interesting. The pharmacist came in and she wanted to know, they want to know before surgery if you're on fish oil, because it has known impact on clotting factors, obviously. But also wanted to know vitamins, minerals. And right now in Western medicine, there's these horror and terror things about vitamins and minerals. And I didn't go there and I didn't challenge her. And this is what I'd recommend. I just said, oh, she's only taking some plant-based nutrition to improve her immune system. And then they were not concerned. So did I withhold some of the whole story? Possibly. But she's not on the actual vitamin and mineral. But I think don't be frightened to be discerning and to bring things into your own power and to get advice. So this knowledge, Robyn, doesn't happen overnight, doesn't it? I didn't have this knowledge in the first 3 months, the first year of taking this technology. I built it through listening to people like yourselves and so many of our colleagues in understanding my own situation and what I can best do.
Yes. Yes.
So Matt, you took you years too, didn't it?
It was the same with me. Do you know, if I did not have James, Jones and Carolyn in my early journey with Manatech, I would have thrown the towel in and thought I was wasting $400 or $500 a month. I really would have, because I got what is called corrective or healing responses to the nutrients. And some of them were actually quite frightening for me, because in the accident, I lost the use of my right eye. The sixth optic nerve was partially severed. And it took 9 months for that nerve actually to regrow and for my eye to come back from the center here back into the proper part of my eye so that I could see. And so when I had started taking the nutrients, I started to get all the symptoms that I had when my eye disappeared in the hospital. And that was terrifying. And I kept saying to James, I'm frightened. I'm going to go back to this problem again. And how do I know if my eye will come back, and blah, blah, blah. And he just kept saying, Robyn, your body never acts to hurt itself with these nutrients. And he kept assuring me. And he'd ring me up every day because he knew I was apprehensive, and I was very concerned. Every bone in my body from my head down to my pelvis ached and pained. This went on for months. 6 or 7 months. But at that 7-month period, my body made its turn. And I'm eternally grateful to James and Carolyn that they never gave up on me. They kept on ringing and kept on encouraging me. And what I saw originally as, I'm just their client, their money buyer, soon disappeared. I was not. I was their concern. My health was their deep love and concern. And I am where I am today in Manatech because of James and Carolyn and because of their understanding of the products. And I guess, Sharon, that's what's driven me to be the best that I can to help others.
I had that experience too, Robyn, where when I came to Manatech, it was because of I dipped over the edge health-wise, and I had a fatiguing type situation. And for me, it was an 18-month journey. So it was 18 months. I would 2 step forward and 1 step back. And in those steps backwards, especially if you're really destabilized health-wise, it's terrorizing. You go, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. And maybe worse, being a nurse, that we're never educated about that cleansing or that correcting response that the body. I even had, when I was in grade school, I fell and I had an injury on my knuckles that went through to the joint. And I started on these technology in my 40s, and that joint flared up, got sore, like I hadn't injured it, and then it just repaired itself. It's interesting, and that's just the power of raw nutrition. So it's a different concept to get around your head, but such an important one to celebrate when you feel a bit worse, because that's your body cleaning house. And to me, I'm always amazed, wow, it's just nutrition giving my body the power to do this. And we've really lost that deep connection to understanding the power of nutrition in Western society, especially.
And Sharon, I think we've misunderstood the incredible importance of your gut health in relation to what we're talking about. You know, we sink or swim really by what's happening inside there. And because of the modern foods and the technologies and everything that we've spoken about, that's toxins and whatever, we've destroyed our gut function. And so we need to actually build it up. It's so important. There are things that destroy it. There are things that build it. And we need to know as Manatech associates how to help people, not just give them GI Pro Balance and say, here's a wonderful symbiotic. No, we need to say, hey, what are you doing in relation to your gut? How are you helping these friendly little critters in there to keep friendly and happy and doing all their little jobs inside you? You know, and when you get that mental picture, it's very important to be able to give that then to somebody else. And you can only give what you have yourself. You can't give anything less or more. People soon see through phony.
Absolutely.
So when you put it in your own self, and you know, for my own health, when I went on to the True Health system, taking those slim sticks, did I get a good cleanse. It's just wonderful. And I do it regularly now, and I'm amazed at how much the body stores and how much it gets rid of. It's really exciting.
It's exciting. Sorry for the gross nurse talk, you guys. And so the other thing is I notice in helping people is that it's good if they find their own way to get into a routine of taking them, because they actually don't work unless you swallow them, correct? And some people I find can easily do 2 or 3 times a day, and other people are more successful if they just get that one hit. It's not ideal, but it's better than forgetting, is my thoughts. What do you think, Robyn?
Yes, I think it's very important. And I think, Sharon, to me, routine has always been important in my life. As you said, I was a homeschool mother. And so routine had to be paramount in our home. And at 9 o'clock, we had to start school, blah, blah, blah. 3 o'clock, we had to finish, right? So to me, routine is very important. And I've just been able to carry that over into my nutritional intake. Now, nobody forgets to have their coffee in the morning. That's very evident by how much coffee is sold in Australia, right? So if we can get into the routine of doing that, put your nutrients in that category as well and realize they're just that important. I do mine 3 times every day, and I have done since James and Carol introduced me to the products. And I put them out the night before, and I put them in all their little containers and say, right, breakfast, lunch and dinner, right? And that's how you do it. And it's very simple. And there's only one product of ours that we really need to take away from food, and that's our bounce back product. But apart from all the others, you can take it with food. So it's no problem when you sit down to have your meal, stick your nutrients there. That's your food. And you see, some people have mental blocks like me about taking pills. Well, the way I overcame that was every time I took it, I used to give thanks that I had the best food available in these nutrients. And when I put those tablets or capsules or whatever in my mouth, I said, thank you, this is food. And when you do that, something happens up here, because mind is powerful. And so if you have a hang up about taking pills, do you have a hang up about eating a chicken leg or a tomato or a lettuce? No, of course you don't. So stick it in your mouth and say, thank you, this is wonderful food, and it's the best I can be giving my body today.
I think that commitment and belief is really important. You have to give belief to the technology and let your body, because sometimes we work with people that are in very dire situations, and I think that bit of hope is one of the things that can help people make changes in their choices and their lifestyle, and just take it every day. Just take it. Don't think about it. Just take it. Another thing I find,
worry about what you think. The body just uses it and it takes it. I remember Dr. McDaniel said to me years ago when I asked him, please tell me, how did this science work? And he said, what did you do? I said, I opened my mouth and I took it. He said, right, that's the science for you. Go and keep doing it. And, I think that's the most wonderful thing in life, isn't it? Things that can be so complex can be so simple. And we don't need to tease our minds with something that we're not qualified to really understand. All we need to do is open our mouth and take the stuff, and then let your body do its job. And that's what he told me to do. And I came away as happy as a pig in mud, and that's what I did. And I've done it 16 years since, and I've been very grateful for it.
I think that if we're guiding wellness clients, that engagement, that mutual commitment. So most people will be helping, you know, if I'm helping someone new get started, and Robyn the same, you need to follow up and support that person. I thrived and got success, and so did Robyn, because of that support. But it requires, you know, commitment on both sides, doesn't it?
It does,
to, you know, for if you're a new client, listen to the calls like this, educate yourself. If we're sending you an email and say, hey, this is really interesting, it's not about marketing. It's about ensuring you are the most prepared to have the best outcomes from our technology. And that as we build knowledge, we get better at being a wellness customer. Would you agree?
Exactly, Sharon. Absolutely, yes. I went to every single meeting I could possibly go to. I was never, ever absent. And that's what actually builds your faith. It builds your confidence. It builds your knowledge. There's a good old saying in Proverbs, without knowledge, people perish. And they're perishing out there now for lack of knowledge. There's so much information out there, but is there knowledge out there? And so we have to be able to guide people that are looking, and guide them in the right direction, and be there, hold their hands, help them to understand how to take the nutrients. Never sign someone up and just say, oh, well, goodbye now. You mightn't say it in words, but you do it in action. We have to follow them up and nurture them and work with them. And that requires you giving of yourself.
Yeah. And so it's a two-way commitment, and you really need to be willing to listen and learn. And we need to be willing to be available, which for the most part within human possible, what's humanly possible, we are. And I think the other thing is that I really felt, I spent the first 18 months to 2 years looking for holes. I was looking for where I could pull it down. Like, it was almost like this is too good to be true kind of feeling. And I've never found it. I've never found it in my body's ability to use this technology, and my children and my friends. There are no holes. This should be the foundation.
Exactly.
First step.
Sharon, may I also address the issue of lifestyle change? I think it's very, very important when we introduce people to the nutrients that we never, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, leave them with the feeling that they can keep on doing what they've been doing and get a different result simply because they're putting a scoop of ambrotose or whatever in their mouth every day. That is not it. We have the challenges we do have in health today and wellness due to food choices and lifestyle. And we need to address those issues. And we need to help people see that lifestyle changes are often very necessary. And our food choices need to be challenged. And I know when you go and talk to people, you say, you know, what's your average diet? And I take Weet-Bix or whatever for the morning, and they think it's healthy. They just don't understand that there is a difference between good, healthy, nutritious food and what is understood as healthy foods out there. So I think that that's something I always seek to address with people. I ask them what their diet was this week. What did you have for breakfast, dinner and tea yesterday, the day before? And it's astounding what you come up with. And gently help them. I'm a bit of a meat cleaver, and one lady I spoke to, she said, oh, Robyn, this is too devastating. I don't want anything. And I thought, oh, no, I've told too much, you see. So you have to learn, and I learned by mistakes best. And so I learned, oh, dear, don't give her too much, because she was just blown away with how wicked the situation was out there. And I mean, she's very sick and her kids are sick. But I gave her too much too soon. So I think it's better to drip feed people bit by bit. And that's what comes in with what you said, Sharon, about follow up. And so that's what we can do. Find them. And I've found now to say to people, find one thing that you can change. Yeah. And when you've changed it and it's become habitual, look for the next thing and then the next thing. And before you know where you are, you will say, wow, haven't I changed? And you haven't realized it because it's been gradual. And then it's not such a challenge. Yeah.
Fully agree with that, Robyn, in that, you know, some people, we all have abilities. Some people can make massive changes all at once, and some people, I guess, depending on the situation, have to. The majority cannot. They have to do step by step, learning and looking at their own life, what the priority are for them to change, like increasing their water, or noticing when they're stressed and going to ensuring they're getting more rest and not that last show at nighttime. And, you know, step by step, I think that's gold advice.
Yes, it is a step-by-step process, Sharon.
Yeah. And you know, the benefits are it can transform your life. You know, I'm later in life. I was lucky to be blessed with children in my later years. And I, you know, compared to my peers, you know, we recently had, you know, met with someone that I hadn't seen for 20 years, and I haven't aged, and they have. And that it's not anything I'm putting on me, although I have great skincare that we have. It's about that nutrition, and you don't see that in 1 year, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. Like, you look back in 20 years, and we've changed because our nutritional foundation has changed.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I recently shared a picture on Facebook with my photo and my sister and my brother. And I got quite a few calls from people saying, Robyn, you look the youngest. And my sister Sue is only 18 months older than I am. And my brother is 10 years younger than I am. So it does make a difference, you know.
Yeah.
I never thought at 70 that I'd still be able to do what I'm doing. Because you cast your mind back and you think of your parents, what they were doing at 70, or your grandparents. And I just see a vast, vast difference.
Yeah. People regularly perceive me as 15 to 20 years younger than I am. And
Yes.
they just say, I don't believe you, when I tell them my actual age. So, and that's the power of nutrition. And that's something, if you're a new person considering our technology, you can't see that on a day-to-day basis. It takes longevity of doing the right thing by your body to really reap the total rewards that are possible.
Exactly. Mm.
And then, Robyn, why don't we touch on M5M?
Yes, yes, very good. Well, Mission 5 Million is a really burning desire in my heart. And I think that Manatech has done an amazing job in joining with M5M. And now that we've joined with the Kids Around the World program, we are able to impact thousands and thousands of children's lives. The millions of servings that we have given in just the last 12 months is astounding. And I'm just so grateful after our Manatech conference 2 weekends ago that our wonderful new executive officer, Jenny, has got a commitment that we are going to impact children here in Australia. So all of those of you who are listening, let's get on and build Manatech Australia back to what it was so that we can get out there and we can help our children. Do you know, I happen to know that from Cairns to the Cape, at any given time, we've got more than 600 of our Aboriginal children with fetal alcohol syndrome. And that breaks my heart. I was born and bred on Thursday Island in the Torres Strait, and those people's lives are very dear to me. I think it's 1 in every 2 Torres Strait Islander now has got diabetes type 2, arms and legs and limbs cut off. My dad was a pearl sheller, and one of his skippers on his boat, I went and visited him. He's a torso, no arms and no legs, diabetes type 2. I just stood and howled when I saw him. I remembered him as a kid. He was so agile, climbing up the rigging on the luggers and everything, and he was so agile. And I said to him, Wrench, how come? He said, Robyn, the food. And that's a big problem. So for me to be able to get up there and to be able to get these nutrients in a proper structured fashion into these kiddies now coming will be wonderful, because they're going to die otherwise before longer than their parents. My old house girl, she's just lost another 2 of her children. They're all dying before her, and she's in her 70s, late 70s. It's heartbreaking. So I think, yes, we need to get out there and we need to start encouraging our Manatech people. Let's get Mission 5 Million in Australia happening. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could have one of those packing sessions that we did at Manifest, hey? Putting all those things in those packets and sealing them up. and getting them out there to an organised production of giving them to these children. You know, there's many, many obstacles to overcome. If you've never lived in an Indigenous community, you have no idea. But there are massive, massive obstacles to overcome. But I believe with faith and hope, dedication, there's nothing we can't overcome. And if we love, we can overcome any mountain. So,
and I think, Robyn, it's good for people who are taking our technology to know that, you know, some of us may have more passion, want to take more action, take direct action, but the rest of us, if we don't have the time or ability in our life to do that, every time we purchase, our company gives a child food for a month. So your passive giving is just out of your own consumer spending. So you're looking after your wellness, and as a commitment from our company, deep in its depth and its heart of its soul, we give a child a month's supply of nutrition that they would not get. And they're thriving, aren't they, Robyn? You've met some of the kids that have gone from obviously malnourished to happy, playing, full hair, healthy immune systems, regular growth, meeting their growth margins. You've seen them yourself, haven't you, Robyn?
Absolutely. I've just recently had the most amazing testimony of taking somebody from anorexia, a skeleton, to now a living, thriving, functioning human being. What an incredible gift to be given, to be able to see and behold, giving this nutrition and making such a difference in someone's life. And you all know my gorgeous little Vietnamese boy. Well, he's just absolutely bounding along. He's 11 now, and I've been in his little life for 11 years and seen the incredible things that it's done in his life. And his cognitive abilities astound me. Every single week I get him and I have him, trying to teach him to talk now. It just blows me away at his cognitive abilities. And that's because of...
Which was never predicted for him, was it, Robyn?
No, never. You know, I mean, if I was able to list all the healing that's happened in his body, you'd all be astounded. And it just blows me away, and I'm just so grateful. And actually, his teachers at school this week said he has to go up a level because he's so far ahead of everybody else. Now, isn't that a Manatech story?
Yeah, who wouldn't want a legacy like that? So, ladies and gentlemen, just to recap briefly, we've talked about why we have to supplement, that it's no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. And we've clearly outlined that our planet and our food supply is in trouble. And our bodies are in trouble because of those toxic overload that we cannot detect. We have no idea when we're being exposed to toxins in the world. We've discovered the uniqueness and the quality of our technology, our mutual commitment to success, that you can't be passive in this endeavor. You have to commit with us and learn. And, you know, we learned that you can have more power in controlling and being the healthiest possible you, no matter what your current state of health is, that you can have the best case scenario in that situation rather than a serious struggle. So, Robyn, thank you so very much. What's your heart to leave people today who are either taking our technology or thinking of our technology or wanting to help others?
Well, Sharon, I guess the biggest take home that I want people to understand is you don't have to be Einstein to help anyone. You just have to have a heart that cares, a heart that loves, and a heart that understands that what we have with Manatech is second to none. And when you understand that, that will drive you. And when you see the debilitating state of children today, whether they're children from Mission 5 Million or just children that you meet on the school crossings every day at school, or your friends who are coughing and spluttering all the time, and realizing the damage that it's doing to their wellness, then that's what drives me. And I want everybody out there to be able to go out with a passion, with a love for mankind, and realize that we're all in this boat together, but we have got an answer. We're not hopeless. Hope springs eternal. So I just hope that everybody can get some hope from what we've shared today, Sharon, and that they'll see that Manatech is a company of hope.
Absolutely. That's my experience as well, Robyn. Thank you so very much. If you're listening today and you're losing hope or you need help, reach out. There's so much expertise, and there's a lot of knowledge even in the archives. So make sure somebody lets you know where that is. Somebody has asked me in the chat about the archive. So, and Diana's away right now, so usually she answers that. So I'll just put them in the link right now and give an extra. So they are here on YouTube. That's 2018, 2019. These calls usually go up within 40 hours unless I have a life disaster happening. And yeah, have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. And next week is a business-focused communication and marketing call with James and Naomi. We're very privileged to have them again. So Robyn, God bless you. Thank you so very much.
And Sharon, just to finish,
bye, everyone.
Thank you, Sharon. And everybody on this call applauds your great dedication and faithfulness, and we're just grateful. Thanks.
Privilege. See you, everyone. Thanks so very much.